I'm a lawyer in real life. I don't play one on television. We are now on episode 3 of the Candace Owens series, Becoming Brigitte, where she lays out her evidence regarding how Brigitte Macron became a transgender. I'm going to include photos in this one, and I'm going to try to keep it under 3 minutes. Tonight at 8 o'clock, I will be live on YouTube, where I will discuss in more detail episode 3 and maybe episode 4 if I can get to it. Episode 3 starts with Candace discussing Emmanuel Macron's grandmother, whom he was very close to. In fact, she was probably the only family member that he was close to. She was an avid reader, as was Emmanuel Macron, but the books she exposed him to were very inappropriate and controversial books, including a book called The Earl King that talked about children in an inappropriate way. Grandmother died on April 13th, which also happens to be Brigitte Macron's birthday, and it also happens to be the birth of the CIA MK Ultra program. You may be wondering, why am I talking about the CIA MK Ultra program? I'm talking about it because she talked about it, and she explained it was a brainwashing program, that they drugged people, that they used perversion to control people, and it was like they were creating Manchurian candidates. She turns to Emmanuel Macron's biological parents in their professions. The dad was a psychologist and the mom was a pediatrician. Then there was a huge revelation about his mom. His mom worked for the Social Security Administration in France, and it was revealed that she had supported people who wanted to change their sex. She gave supportive statement and evidence on behalf of these people so that they could successfully change their sex. And so Candace, of course, posed the question, is this just a coincidence? Coincidence to what? I guess a coincidence to the fact that she believes Brigitte Macron is transgender. Then we go back to Brigitte Macron and the fact that she has made many mistakes about her past. She got wrong when her sister died, she got wrong when her niece died, and all of those things are highly suspicious. Then Candace focuses on the fact that there were no pictures of André Louise, who was the first husband of Brigitte Macron, and that's very suspicious. No pictures of him on the internet, and apparently once he retired, he withdrew. He stopped being involved with his friends, and he was very solitary and very private. Also questions whether the woman who is in the photograph of the alleged wedding between André Louise and Brigitte Macron, whether that is actually the current modern day Brigitte Macron. She said she wanted her attorneys to confirm this, but they would not. However, another journalist did in fact find a marriage certificate between André Louise and Brigitte. And Brigitte's brother was the best man in the wedding, so that evidence does exist. But for Candace, this is all weird because Jean-Michel, the brother who's the best man in the wedding, he disappeared. And she says it's also weird that her attorneys wouldn't answer these questions. Candace then turns to the lawsuit that was filed against the journalist Natasha Ray, who was sued by Brigitte Macron, as well as Louis André. Louis André was the first cousin of André Louise. According to Candace, Louis André was manipulated into suing Natasha Ray by the Macrons. And according to her, the reason he sued is because Natasha Ray misidentified him in the wedding photo. She said, oh, that's not André Louise, that is Louis André. And so she was sued and she lost on that basis. Candace makes it clear that was the basis that they lost, not because they proved that Brigitte Macron is not transgender. Candace then points out all the mistakes that were made in regards to André Louise, the first husband of Brigitte Macron. And there are no photos of him on the internet. His sisters, his children, they refused to talk about him. The only people who would talk about him was his former colleagues, and they talked very enthusiastically about him, but after he retired, he basically disappeared. This man actually died in December of 2019. He had a funeral that took place 4 days after his death. Candace thinks this is very weird that he had such a quick funeral, that she called it an express funeral, and she said Emmanuel Macron was involved in organizing the funeral. And according to her, his children were there, his companion was there, and his sisters were there, as well as his first cousin, Louis André. Brigitte, however, did not attend the funeral, and she thought that was very strange. This was the man that she was married to for 32 years, the father of her children, but she didn't go to his funeral. And then there's the question, what really happened to André? What happened to him? You know, she puts it out there, we do not know. Why did he stop associating with his old friends? And then apparently the companion who was at the funeral told the first cousin a really strange story. According to the companion, André was preparing to move to Africa. He had emptied his accounts, he had bought a ticket, and he was about to go to Africa. And then there was also a separate story from another journalist who said that he was actually in a psychiatric facility, some kind of psych ward, immediately prior to his death, but the family refuted that, said that didn't happen. But according to Candace, the family didn't sue, and if they really thought it was not true, they would have sued. So that, in a nutshell, is episode 3, and yes, it's more than 3 minutes, but y'all let me know if you watched it, you got some different facts from it, let me know. Now tell me, what piece of evidence that she presented in episode 3 makes you think that Brigitte Macron is transgender? Just tell me what the evidence is. That's all I want to know.